In the last month, my reading has been all over the place. I have finished 10 books. There are 5 I gave up on, and rating-wise, it's all over the place. Books from 1 star to 5, so let's get into the reviews. I finished my first Virginia Woolf, This Is to the Lighthouse, which I had heard a lot of. It had been on my shelf for a little while, and you know how some books, you don't necessarily think they're for you, but you can see the potential, you can see what people get out of it. This is not one of them. I literally cannot review this book without laughing because I hated every second of it. I feel like I absorbed nothing. Like, I forced myself to read the whole thing because I was hoping that eventually I would get it. I don't. I absorbed absolutely nothing. And it's not like I've never learn to read deeply, see the messages. I have a degree in French literature. Like, I know how to do that. I got nothing out of this, honestly. It's just one of those authors that, not for me. Unfortunately, I have 2 more of her books on my shelf, so I will have to give her a second shot, and we'll see what happens. Maybe it's just this book. Maybe she's just really not for me. But I think it's really funny to have such a strong opinion on an author. I feel like I prefer that over the ones I'm kind of on the fence because you don't know what to do afterwards, but I will just give up if I don't like them right away. I will not force myself like I did with that one because I really wanted to see what the hype was about, and I don't know. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I like struggle to even tell you what the book is about. You're following this family. I guess it's about relationship between people, but like everything is so vague and just no. One that did work for me, was worth the hype, is Beloved by Toni Morrison. This is my second book by her, and I went into it knowing basically nothing, and I really, really enjoyed it. You follow a character who years ago was enslaved. She managed to run away, and she's now living in this house with her daughter, but they're haunted by the ghost of another child that she had, named Beloved because she passed away very young, and her 2 sons actually also ran away. So that's kind of the setup whenever this man who was also enslaved at the same place shows up to the house, and things go from there. So basically through this hunting, this ghost story, I'm keeping it vague, you're getting some of the trauma of slavery, and honestly I had no idea where the story was going the whole time, but I really, really enjoyed it. I had heard it was sad, but I thought it was like I need to cry sad, but no, this is a book that leaves you completely gutted, just staring at the wall, not knowing how to feel, and it was just great. I do recommend that one. Julie Chen is Dead is the perfect book if you enjoyed weird girl lit fic kind of books, because that's exactly what it is. I feel like the marketing was a little bit all over the place because you're following a character who is a twin. Her twin was a famous influencer, and she gets this weird call. She goes to her place, they're not close, and she finds her dead, so she decides to take her spot. So that was kind of the premise I knew, and then I thought it was a thriller, but it's a horror book. I feel like it's been mismarketed, but it is worth it if that's your thing. If you enjoyed Bunny, that is exactly what you want. And it's also a little bit of a mix of Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. So I did really enjoy it, but mostly because it was a really, really quick read. I, again, had no idea where it was going. It was strange, but it definitely kept my interest and it was entertaining. So if you are into these kind of books, you definitely need to check that one out. 2 books I gave up on were high fantasy series. I used to just buy the whole trilogy whenever I would see it on a list of like must-read fantasy series. And I have since figured out that I actually have to look up bad reviews to make sure that the content will work for me. I have just no more patience for like badly written female characters, and it's just the case with these 2. So Promise of Blood, I made it 88 pages into it, which seems really quick, but frankly by that point I had a long list of issues. If you want to see it, I'll link the vlog. I include screenshots and everything, but the first female character that we meet, like that's her point of view, it's an attempted essay scene. And like every character, not just the female characters actually, were just weirdly described. It would always take me out of the story. And the best example is like the scene where the main character is just going to ask questions to someone, and you get a description of him walking down the hallway, seeing this painting and being like, oh yeah, that's the vice chancellor, smart man. Also, he's always been ugly because of his birthmark on his face. And then he continues to describe him walking down. It's just like, why are we don't even meet the guy. Like, it's just such a weird description, and he does that a lot to, again, female characters saying like, oh, she has a scar so she can be pretty, or she has wrinkles, and like I just cannot deal with that kind of content anymore. It distracts me. I wanted to love the story because the world building sounded interesting. There's an uprising, the king being murdered in front of everyone, guillotine, and the magic system seemed interesting. You have people sniffing gunpowder to be able to use magic, and other ones have like very specific ones. Like there's this one guy that doesn't need to sleep, so like that's going to be a great bodyguard. Like there's so much potential, but I literally could not focus on the story, and I've been told that it gets worse, but I won't know because I'm getting rid of the whole trilogy. And this one, I made it like 166 pages into it. You have 3 point of views. They're the children of the emperor and E is murdered. So obviously someone is coming for them. What's going to happen? And that's also frustrating because the first 3 pages of this, the prologue, was so intriguing because you're seeing it from the point of view of this god, and he's saying how their children are not perfect anymore. They're not like immortal like they are. They start aging and developing emotions like humans. That's how it starts, and I'm like, okay, I want to read that. And then once again, the female characters just really suck. Basically, they're separated into categories: whore and bitches, and that's literally the words that are used, and it's just frustrating. A female character like dies in order for the male character to see the way that the knots are being used, that the next scene he's in will also be used on him, so potential assassins. Like, it's just not something I want to read anymore, and frankly I wasn't super interested 166 pages into it either. So yeah, once again, it just wasn't for me. So one I did finally get to is this one. This is The Lying Women of Terron, which actually I love when there's the date to really call me out. This has been on my shelf for 2 years, June 2024. But this I would recommend as a really good book club kind of book. Historical fiction a little bit. You're following the friendship between 2 main female characters, which I love reading those like complex female friendships. And that's the case. You're following them growing up. The main character used to be kind of rich and her father passes away, so they are now stuck being in the poor neighborhood because her mother refuses to marry her husband's brother. So they're kind of having to deal with the consequences. Her mother's always in her ear telling her, evil eye, be careful with people. And then growing up, other friendship kind of coming and going. I did really enjoy it. I also liked that there was a little bit more political information than I expected. My only complaint is that it's a little too short. It's 300 pages. I kind of wish we had a little bit more depth, but I feel that's probably what makes it more accessible. Again, book club kind of book. A lot of people will have opinions on a lot of things that happens in here. So high emotions, great, interesting, complex friendships between the female characters, and some social commentary. So I do recommend this one. I would also give this one 4. Let's talk about Daggermouth. I did it to myself, absolutely. I'm curious about romantasy. I've kind of been dipping my toe into the genre, and it's very hit and miss, which I expected because I don't know what I like yet, but I know I like enemies to lovers, and I can't really look at ratings, even though because it means nothing ultimately, because this one has really high rating and I hated it pretty much instantly. I got it from the library, so like low stakes, but I should have listened to my gut feeling because very early on, female character, I didn't like the way she was written, and early on you have a spicy scene for both characters which were just not for me. But I do enjoy the fact that the 2 main characters are in their 30s, which I want more of those less 16-year-old having spicy scenes, please. So in this dystopian version of our world, rich people are hiding behind these masks. You can't be seen, and the main female character is an assassin sent to kill the son of this rich man. I don't remember what title he had, doesn't matter. But the son is not really close to his father, and he's the one that is forced to assassinate people on a daily basis, so everyone kind of hates him. And when the main female character goes to kill him, she misses and he removes his mask, so now he's going to be killed, so they end up having to marry, which was like, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch, but you know, you have to have some kind of setup that they're going to be forced to be in close contact to, you know, enemies to lovers. And 38% into the book, I had to put it down. I was so done because they had been, both of them, really injured, and like they're drinking, or she's drinking, and like the horniness was starting. I was like, no, it makes no sense, not believable, which I get that is not the point for a lot of people, but like I just could not suspend my disbelief. It wasn't for me. So yeah, if you really love romantasy, you probably don't need that advice, but it was not for me. Let's talk about my favorite book that I read this month, The Everlasting. Oh my gosh. In theory, doesn't necessarily sound like something would have been my thing, but loved it. This is like a fantasy sci-fi romance. Time travel. The main character has spent his whole life studying Una Everlasting. She is kind of this legend. She saved the queen. There's this whole thing. She basically is this big image in this country. And he's a professor, and then one day he gets the chance to be sent back in time to finish her story, right? Her last adventure, the part that she saves the queen, blah, blah, blah. But he goes knowing that it ends badly for her. So it's very tragic, and that's how the book starts. And then things don't go where I expected. I literally put the book down and was staring at my wall for like 10 minutes because I was not expecting things to go anywhere near that. But I was extremely emotionally invested, which surprised me because the writing style is very lyrical. And I feel like sometimes when you read these kind of like fairy tale-esque stories, I feel emotionally distanced because of that writing. But was not an issue at all with this one. I didn't cry, but even just talking about it every time, like tears come in my eyes. And I will be forcing people to read this in my life. Like, I don't tend to do that very often, but this is one of them that I need other people to read it because I need to talk about it. I was just in love with so much in the story. It's super short. It's 300 pages, but I could not put it down, but at the same time, it felt like it was 1,000 pages because so much happens and it was rough. So I would compare this a little bit to her other stories, The Sixth Death of a Saint. I would not recommend reading that before you read this though. And it reminds me also a little bit of Ursula K. Le Guin, The Laugh of Evan. So yeah, this was fantastic, a 5-star. Will make it to my best books of the year. I don't think I ever want to read it again because it was emotionally devastating, but 5-star, so good. But I don't want to read another sad book after these. Ugh. I did enjoy The Night We Met, which I was a little nervous. It is a romance, which I don't read a ton of, but I've read a couple of hers and I really liked Part of Your World. That's my favorite by her. What made me nervous is that this one is a friends to lovers, and I have yet to read one I enjoy. I will say this book was extremely messy for way too long, but I really like the characters. Like, I love whenever, first off, they're a little older, but also they're emotionally mature. That makes all the difference. The only thing is that she has a boyfriend, and they are in a really difficult situation because the best friend, boyfriend, is really struggling at that time, and the whole situation is just really, really difficult. I really was rooting for the romance, but again, it took a little too long. I did overall still give it a 4-star because again, I was invested, but I understand why not everyone enjoyed the story. Again, very messy, friends to lovers, plus she's dating the best friend and he's currently going through it, and the whole situation a mess. So I understand the mixed reviews, but I personally overall enjoyed it. I did read The Vegetarian, which was the winner for the Man Booker International Prize of 2016, and it's been getting a lot of hype, so I was really curious. I knew it was a social commentary, especially for women, and this is when it's set in Korea, so I thought it was going to be similar to Kim Ji-young, born 1982, which I did really like. I do know from experience that I find Korean translation to English kind of dry, so I expected it, but I didn't expect how weird the book was going to be. How do you even like describe the genre of this? It's like a little magical realism, or is it just straight up weird? I don't know. I struggled with it. I thought at first you're following these two couples, and these two women are sisters, and you see the stories from the point of view of their husbands who are not great, which, you know, okay, social commentary from, you know, patriarchal society from Korea, I get that, but then it gets weirder and weirder and weirder, and I just finished it because it was short and I wanted to know if it was going to get better, and for me it didn't. This is like a 2.5 star, but this one I do understand what people got out of it compared to this one, which I will keep bashing this book, I'm sorry, but it's just really not for me. But this one I can see the beauty of the writing and, you know, the commentary, but it just really was not for me. So yeah, but I feel like if it's your thing, it's your thing. So I did finish the audiobook of Everything is Tuberculosis, which I think this is a very beginner friendly nonfiction, and the author's goal is definitely to make it more known that we do have medicine that exists to help tuberculosis, but with prices and issues. Like, why are we not helping people from poor countries because we're just withholding the medication? So I do think that he did a good job for that. It's just that I thought it was going to go deeper into tuberculosis because the author literally starts by saying that he's obsessed with it, but you kind of just get a little bit of an overview historically what happened with the medicine and how people used to see tuberculosis compared to now, and you get a bit of his family history and a specific case, Henry. So it wasn't a bad book, it just wasn't what I expected, and I feel like I've read some really fantastic nonfiction this year, so in comparison, it doesn't really compare, but I do think that it achieves the goal that the author wanted. It just was not what I expected. Basically, it's a 3-star read for me, but it's not a bad book. Howard Ends was my first book by the author, and I did enjoy it. I feel like for a classic, it's a little messy in a good way. You're following 3 families from 3 different social classes, and frankly, their interaction are making each other's life worse. But it's entertaining. Essentially, this woman leaves inheritance, this house in the countryside to this woman, and things go from there. I did really enjoy it. I will be reading more by the author because I had already bought something else. I had bought 2 at the same time, which I feel like I'm back into my classic era if you have any recommendations. But yes, this was fairly short, made me remember why I like classics. The writing is so nice. But yeah, considering when it was published, it was definitely messier than expected, and I don't feel like you should know more than that, because the entertaining part is to not see some of the twists that come out of there. But yes, this was enjoyable. I'm gonna give it 3-star, and props for killing the wasp during that vlog. If you're looking for a new dystopian book to read, this one was a good one. This is The Blueprint. This would be a mix of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood and Octavia Butler, Wild Seed. So you're following 3 timelines, 2 point of views. At first it was a little complicated, but it's definitely worth pushing through. The main female character lives in a version of the US where there was a second civil war, and the only state that is now free is Louisiana. So you're following people like the main character who is a descendant of slavery, and you have this algorithm that assigns women to, well, black women really, to a white man for a couple of years for them to have children, and then they're reassigned to another descendant of slavery, so black men, to have his children. So they have no control over their life at all. So they all dream to escape to Louisiana to be free. And the main female character catches the eye of this powerful white man who basically grooms her. And the 2 timelines, there's like 5 years in between, so she gets the opportunity 5 years later to possibly escape. So you're kind of seeing her having these mixed feelings because she loves him, because again, been groomed for 5 years, but at the same time she really hates him. Does she want her freedom? So you're seeing that complicated situation, those mixed feelings that she has, and it was interesting. Would recommend. 3.5 star. The Last Contract of Isako, I did have to give up 68% into it, which I feel like when you make it that far, usually it's easy to finish. I just could not do it. I love the Greenbone saga by the same author, and I really wanted to read more by her. This one is a hard sci-fi, and you're following a woman in her 50s, which I keep saying how much I want to read more books with older female characters, but I just could not get into it. So hard sci-fi, you're following a character who lives on this planet that is isolated. They lost communication with humanity, and they have strict rules that if you're not useful anymore, you have to get out of their protection dome. And so the main character has been working for rich people. She's like a sword woman, and she is sent to end contracts and tell people that they have to go or she will have to kill them. So she is on her possibly last mission. She kind of has to figure out a murder mystery, but I was so bored. Nothing was happening. I just could not get into it. I was not invested, so I gave up 68% into it. It just came out this month, so I had the advanced reader copy, and I really could not finish it. So unfortunately, it wasn't for me. I would check out other reviews because other people did love it, but yeah, sadly it wasn't for me. I also gave up on Sky Full of Elephants. The premise sounded really intriguing, kind of dystopian again. Version of a world where one day white people gets up and they just all go and drown themselves in the closest body of water. And it's set in the US. It's about the exploration of what it is to be black whenever there are no more white people. And unfortunately, 24% into it, I just could not get into it. The writing style wasn't for me, and some of the characters were starting to be annoying, the daughter. But yeah, apparently it gets better eventually, but I just couldn't push through, so I didn't. So as you saw, my month was all over the place. I still think I had a great time because I did find some favorites, but learning to put down books is key. I feel like the more you practice, the better you get at it, and the less you will get into a reading slump, so I highly recommend it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be putting more on the screen that I recommend you check out, including the reading vlog where I was doing my read it and haul it, and I gave up on the 2 books with a lot of quotes if you want to see them. And like I said, I did just do a classic book haul. I would recommend you check that out. I'm looking forward to reading some of them, and I will see you there. Bye.